Have you ever tried mixing three primary colors to create other colors with and ended up with a muddy mess of a color that looks more like a mud puddle rather than the pretty color that you were going for? Well, I can say I feel ya. When I started painting, I knew that red and yellow would make orange, and I knew that blue and yellow makes green, but when I would try to mix those colors together, sometimes I would end up with just a muddy, ugly, dull green. And you talk about frustrating, that one will do it. So what I want to do is show you how to use the three primaries to make secondary colors and tertiary colors without making mud. I'm also going to show you a simple little trick that will keep everything straight in your head. It's going to make sense, and it's a method that you can use every single time you get ready to mix colors. So come on along with me and let's get into it. I'm ready to jump in and start painting. What I'm going to do first is just show you the primary colors. Then I'm going to mix those into the secondary colors. So let's jump on in. So we'll start out with our primary colors. What I'm using today is nickel azo yellow. I am also using some quinacridone rose as my red. And I'm using phthalo blue as my blue. Okay, so these are the primary colors. Now, when I mix the primary colors together, I'm going to end up with secondary colors. So by mixing yellow with red, I'm going to get an orange. If I mix red and blue, I'm going to end up with purple, or you can call it violet if you choose. And when I mix yellow and blue together, I'm going to end up with green. So here we have our secondary colors. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix our secondary colors with the primary colors, and that's going to give us our tertiary colors. So let's go on back down to my paper. So now we're going to mix orange and yellow together, and what that is going to give us is more of a yellowy orange. Then we're going to mix violet and red together, and what that's going to create is a red violet. Then if we take our green and we mix it with blue, you probably guessed it, we're going to have more of a blue green. Then we'll start all over with our orange, and when we mix that with red, then we're going to get a redder orange. When we take our blue and mix that into our violet, we'll get a blue violet. Then when we mix our green and our yellow together, we're going to get a yellowy green. So these are our tertiary colors. Now the next thing that I want to do is show you how to mix the tertiary colors in with the primary colors. Now what that's going to give us are either neutral tones, or if you're not careful, you can get some mud. So let's see how to do that. We're going to mix our yellow orange with blue. What we're going to get is a muted, kind of an olivey tone of green. Now you see how this could easily turn into mud if you're not careful. So when you're mixing colors, just go very, very slow and mix them together tiny bits at a time until you reach the color that you want, because I've seen this happen so many times with my students where I will ask them to make, say, a chocolate brown, and I'll tell them the colors to use, and they'll end up with something that is way too red or way too blue. And it's only because they're diving in with some of these strong colors too heavily, and they do end up making mud instead of that pretty chocolate brown color. So next we'll mix the red violet with the yellow. What we're going to end up with is kind of a red brown color, but it also leans a little bit purple because we did start out with the red violet. Then we're going to mix the blue green with our red. And what we've got now is more or less a gray color. And then we're going to take our red orange and mix that with our blue, and we're going to get another brownish color, but it is going to kind of lean a little bit toward the gray. And these are actually pretty colors in themselves, but they're very muted because we are more or less using complementary colors together. If you mix red and green, which is a primary and a secondary, they are going to cancel each other out. They're complementary colors, and it's going to create a duller or muted color for you. So we'll move on and we'll mix our blue violet with the green. And again, we have a color that's leaning toward black, but it has a bluish green tint to it. And then lastly, we're going to mix yellow green with red, and we're going to end up with another brown type of a color, but it's going to be a little bit warmer, a little bit kind of the color of caramel. So here we go. So this is our primary colors mixed to our secondary colors, and then our secondary colors mixed with our tertiary colors, and this is what we're going to get right here. So this is how you can mix the colors without creating mud. Let me show you how sometimes mud is created. So let's say that I've got some yellow in here, but I want it to be orange, so I'm going to add some red. And then it's too bright, so I want to tone it down, so I'm adding some blue. And that's looking okay, but it's not quite where I want it to be. Well, I know that green is going to help darken it because the green and the red together cancel each other out, and it's going to take some of the brightness out of this. So I'm going to put some of that green in there, and before you know it, I am getting this muddy, kind of weird color, and then like I'm thinking, well, maybe if I add blue, well, it's going to start turning more gray. And before you know it, I've added way too many colors, and I end up with something that's nowhere near resembling what I wanted it to be, and I've turned it into mud. Remember that I have this little cheat sheet which is going to help it make sense to you. And something that I want to make mention of with this little trick, this PDF that I have, is if you think about a stoplight, green means go. That is where you're mixing your primary colors together and you're getting your secondary colors, but they're vibrant and rich and beautiful. Then when you're mixing your secondary colors together, you just have to be more mindful about it and to be intentional about mixing those colors so that you get also vibrant secondary colors. And that is the yellow light. Then we have the red light, which means stop or caution. And that's when you're mixing your tertiary colors together with your primary colors and getting neutrals, or if you're not careful and you do this right here, then you're going to get mud. If this was beneficial to you, I would love for you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You can also visit my website at ninasuggswatercolor.com for more inspiration and tutorials. If you have any questions or comments about primary, secondary, tertiary colors, just leave it in the comment box below. And I'm also going to have the link for this free PDF in the description below as well. I also have another free PDF for you. It's going to be listed in the description box below, and it's called the Watercolor Confidence Framework. And what it is about is helping you take a painting from looking a little flat and not quite finished, all the way through to realistic and looking complete. Something that you can paint and when you're done, be really excited over it. So you need to grab that in the description box below as well. So bye for now, and I hope that I'll see you again soon.